lights off one outlet, so it makes it a lot easier. Back when you had in cans and you had to pull light power from 3 different places is more complicated, but it's really quite easy now. And one tip when doing this is a lot of contractors will draw and create these layout maps, this install map of the home, and have it drawn out and shown where you start each strand. Strand A goes here, strand B's over the garage, strand C's the upper roof line. So when they draw these maps, you have to, one is put where your source of power is so they can do it. So if you have a different crew coming next year, or it's just you and you are trying to remember how you did it, you have this map to go off of, you see where the source of power is, where to start. And then one tip is to draw that install map when you install for the very first time. A lot of people will go create the first job, and then when they come down, be like, oh, I needed to create a map for next year. And even just that few month delay can make you not remember some things or some tricks that you did. So it's best if you install, draw the install map day one when you install the first time. And we have some videos in here that we're going to show throughout, quite a number of them. And we'll just go through some of those and talk about them after. And one other thing to mention is if anyone at any point has any question about anything I've said, anything is said in the videos, anything you've seen, or anything you'd like to know more about, please just stop us. We'll happily go on a tangent and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Okay. Let me get this ready.
This is another seasonal source pro tip. We found that over the years, having good quality ladders, especially with some accessories that you can easily add to your ladders, will greatly add to not only the safety of your crews while they're doing installs, but add to the speed and as well as the protection of the homes that you're doing the installs with. First of all, we have these ladder leg levelers is what they're called. They usually bolt on to the side of the bottom of your ladders. Remove the original feet that came with the ladder. You bolt these on. And these levelers go up and down and can, as you can see, adjust to what the landscape might throw at you, whether it be steps or in a rocky situation. You'll find that typically you're never on level ground. These things are a must for Christmas light installations. The other things that I like to have on all my ladders are these blue foam protective pads. They just bolt onto the tops of your ladders. Not only do they add so the ladders aren't slipping around, which will add to the safety, but they're not scratching up and marring the surfaces of the house while you're doing installations as well. This has been another.
Okay. All self-explanatory, but ladder additions make a big difference and really can improve your speed in installs without having to finagle ladders and tipping it or having a second person hold the ladder so you feel steady, and then you're wasting, you can be working simultaneously instead of helping each other hold ladders and do different things and protecting the house from damage. So those ladder leg levelers are huge. They really make the ladder a lot more secure when leaning up against the home.
Yeah, a couple other things with that is that wasn't mentioned in the video is they have those ones that you can mount to the top of the ladder, and it helps it stand off away from the gutter, so you're not scratching up or denting the gutter. Looking at those are a really great way because it's a lot easier to work with the lights along the gutter or roof line without the ladder in the way and having to kind of work around that. So those little arms kind of that you can mount to the top of the ladders to keep the ladder itself off of the building or off the gutters, it's really going to be a huge benefit and worth the investment for it.
Yep. Okay, what are we doing here? All right, the next one's on tool belt. Having a tool belt like a traditional kind of construction worker is huge. It really helps save time, gives you a lot more capacity to hold things and speed up things instead of going up and down ladders and grabbing different things for filling up a pouch or your pockets. It's really a pretty important one as well.
This is another seasonal source pro tip. I find that it's been helpful over the years to have a tool pouch with me. Whether you're up on top at the peak where you want to have everything at hand so you're not making multiple trips to the top of a roof and back down, or just the various things that you're doing installing a house. You want to have all the things at your fingertips, saves you time, saves you money. Inside my pouches, I have two big pouches that I like to keep full of these all-in-one clips that you find that you need at different parts of the house. I have light gloves that I can use when I'm doing those pokey trees that tend to just wipe out your hands. Sometimes I've got pouches full of spare bulbs when I'm doing retrofit C7s. In the middle, electrical tape. Another pouch that's just full of my males and female quick connects. I find that keeping these pouches organized is really critical, not dumping garbage in them and having it so you're always hunting for things, but keeping them organized, clean, and keeping you efficient and fast. This has been another seasonal source pro tip.
All right, so video is pretty self-explanatory, but if you've installed in the past and you haven't been using ToolBet, that would be one tip that we would highly recommend that will help you out and save you some time.
This is another seasonal source pro tip. What we have here is an outstanding way to advertise while you're at the job site. We've found that while our crews are looking professional, doing a job, we have this sign hanging off of our trucks. So the passersby are immediately attracted to see the sign, what it's advertising. They see the crew in action. The whole package ties into a wonderful marketing campaign. We have just a simple metal rod that's inserted into my ladder rack, slides in and out. Zip ties on top of grommets on the sign. Zip ties and grommets hang down. Cone, you can get these cones of various heights. I have another little business brochure holder I just get from Office Max or something. Zip tie that holds it on top of the cone. Insert your cards there. And what we find is it's a convenient way for a car to pull up, open a door, grab a card without even getting out, and off they drive. Very non-threatening way to market, promote your whole professionalism as a company. This has been another seasonal source pro tip.
All right, so there's kind of one little different than just, a traditional install tip, but one that could really improve your effectiveness as a business and gaining new customers that maybe not everyone has thought about. It's a great idea. Whenever you're installing, use that as time to market yourself and your services. Getting a sign that hangs off your truck with some pamphlets or literature can be a great way. Someone driving by in the neighborhood, a lot of times you get customers that are neighbors and from the same area, so that have seen their neighbor's house lit up in the past, think it looks great, want to do the same. That's a great way to let them get your information and reach out to you in a very easy, passive way while you're already working and installing on a house.
Yeah, more often than not, you'll find that in all of your work that you do, in the landscaping, lawn maintenance, whatever. It's just people driving by, people seeing you on the job, and they want to find out or get your services. So being able to put yourself out there and have a way that they can get that information without even having to talk to you, or interrupting you while you're doing the install is a great way to do it. So
I was going to ask a quick question for contractors. Greg, I saw you gave a thumbs up for that last tip there. How many of you are currently doing like a passive marketing campaign or hanging flyers on the doors after you do your jobs? Is anybody currently doing any type of marketing? Whether, because I know many contractors receive word of mouth, right? Referrals type of thing. That's how a lot of you will grow your business. So how are you currently marketing yourselves in order to grow business year over year?
We do a lot of social media, a lot of word of mouth. Try to do like a Christmas in July campaign in our area, but again, just trying to figure out the balance as far as like how much our backlog is currently and how much we can target and actually take on for the upcoming season with the short duration of the season. So I think it's a challenge to try to find the balance as far as wanting to advertise, but also don't want to overpromise and not be able to deliver.
Do you find a certain social media platform works better for you, Alexis?
We do a lot of Facebook, again, just targeting kind of that older population of individuals who typically are the ones that are going to be the ones to purchase your service.
And Alexis, one thing that you pointed out though with social media is the visual aspect of social media. You know, not just like images, but if you can throw in video or something that showcases it, not just a single shot, but you know, highlights it. That engages people even as they're just scrolling through. The video starts up and it pulls people in right away. So yeah, so social media can definitely be a powerful tool these days.
Guys, I'd just like to add, can you hear me? This is Greg.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that, you know, I saw that sign on the side of the van or truck, and I saw a tree care company do that years ago, and it wasn't the big piece of equipment or the large truck. It was the on the ground arborist that was doing the inspections and the sales. And all he had was a little box on the outside, lift up on the top of it and pull a business card out. So along with the painting of the car or the wrapping of the truck, car, whatever he had quick access to, all right, I'm at lunch, I'm visiting with a client, somebody could drive by and grab a card.
Yeah, great idea. Another thing you can do these days, because everybody's got their photo, you know, their phones and stuff, is you can put a QR code on the side of your trucks or trailers, whatever, or on a board or something they could take a snapshot and take you right to a website or something like that. Instead of carrying around a card or whatever, they can just take a picture, quick image will save it right away in their phones, and they can come back to it quickly and easily. So take advantage of them. You can create them free as well, and you know, things like that can really draw you in. So
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for your guys' input there.
This is another seasonal source pro tip. Most of us are familiar with these C7 and C9 sockets having a built-in clip on top. We use that to various purposes for installation. I happen to use it to install under eaves along the roof line, and found other reasons to use that clip. But often in cold weather or whatever the situation may be, that clip has broken off, and all of a sudden you come across a socket that looks like this without a clip for installation. What do you do at this point? We found that we can customize this all-in-one clip to reproduce what was on the original socket. I simply hold the clip like this, and with my cutters, make a cut there, make the similar cut on the other side, which leaves me with this, and then cut off this part, and if need be, another little trim right there, leaving us with this part that will grab onto the socket, and this part will be the new socket clip. Now our finished product is this clip. We have the socket that we're going to replace the clip on. We also have the original socket with the orientation of the clip so you can see how to clip on the newly created clip. And this just snaps on like that and gives you a new clip to put underneath the eave or attach it to whatever surface you're hoping to attach these sockets to. This has been a
All right, so that is one that we found that not everybody is aware of. And with the factory clip being one of in certain regions of the country, a very common way to install lights under the eaves with that clip. It's really quick, and a lot of people like to install lights whenever they can that way. And over the years, it's bound to get some that break off that don't come out clean when you're taking down or going to put up. So those break off, fairly frequently. It's not uncommon. And there's a way to repair that and just use a clip and put that back up there so you don't have any drooping lights. And your install can still look professional without having to do more extravagant repairs. Very simple, easy, and cheap to fix that and make your lights still look professional.
Yeah, the alternative, of course, is if you do have replacement sockets, then you can break one off and put a new one on. So, but if you don't have any on hand, then using the clips, which you'll definitely have on hand, and in most cases, that's the great way to do it.
Yeah.
another.
Okay, this one we don't have video of, but we'll just explain it. When we're peaking lights, it's a really important part of a professional lighter's install job is to make sure you get a light right at the peak of a gable or whatever on a house. It really makes it look nice and symmetrical, very professional looking. And we found the best way to do that is when you're coming across, if you just keep going up and you get up there, then you have to like finagle the last couple lights and it doesn't look symmetrical, and they'll be tighter at the top and down below and the spacing's off. So if you're coming across and then you just stretch it up to the top, lay it out without clipping them in, just stretch it up to the top, find which socket or light would be the one that would fit into the peak the best. And you put that one in first, and then you leave a little bit of drooped space so you can have a little space to work with in case there's a nail or something under there that you can't get a clip in. So you leave a little bit of a swag, put that clip in, and then come to the middle, put that one in, and then space all the rest out. You can have perfectly even spacing from the bottom to the top, and have a light right in the top, and all your spacing still looks great. And then you can go down the other side kind of as normal, matching the other left side or the right side. And then another thing to kind of remember is if you mark that peak socket with a Sharpie or a piece of tape, or mark the clip or whatever, you can know when you're coming through next time which one's going to be that peak. You can do it even quicker next year. And it just helps making your job easier and nice professional looking, because that's kind of what we're going for, right? So yeah.
This is another seasonal source pro tip. Oftentimes in our design phase, when we're doing our marketing and talking to the homeowners, we'll come across a wonderful example like this of natural archway around a door, an entryway, or sometimes you'll see some unique architecture around windows that you want to take advantage of when you're doing your design work. Again, another idea to set yourself apart from some of your competitors. A way to do this is we're able to use a hot glue gun and apply a small dab of glue to the back side of the socket and adhere it straight to the brick. It provides just enough grip to last through the season, and when you come back later for takedown in the winter months, it comes off quite easily. What we have found is if you just apply about a dime size drop, no bigger than a dime, hold it on there for usually 2 or 3 seconds, and it makes its grip. And you want to keep them the same distance from the outer edge as you go to keep that nice straight line as you're doing this. The other thing to know about this is obviously this glue is going to want to grip to the brick a little bit. So you're going to want to be able to, when you do your takedowns, remove this glue. And if you just with a putty knife, able to just work underneath it, it's important to do that every season because you'll find that the new glue comes off really well. Where if you look down here, you'll see some of the old glue has kind of a yellowish tint to it and it's hardened quite a bit in the sun. And it makes it more of a difficult challenge to take that off. This has been another Seasonal Source Pro Tip.
All right, so that's one couple kind of caveats with the hot glue. We would recommend avoiding doing that on kind of painted surfaces or any other materials other than like brick, concrete, kind of those masonry surfaces. But when you have that brick or whatever, you can use hot glue. It's great. It comes right off, doesn't damage anything. It can really make your install, like was mentioned in the video, stand out from others, and it can be a great way to highlight doorways and things like that. That can add a really nice look to your install.
This is another Seasonal Source Pro Tip. One of the mysteries of greenery and especially wreaths on the front door is we are often asked by contractors, how do you run power to that? What we've found is there's various methods of running power and keeping this cord to the door jamb. And we're going to show you one today. This is one where we've got, obviously, I orient this wreath so the male plug is on the right side of the hinge side of the door. I then am able to run a lamp cord. I chose in this situation a white cord to match and blend in with the white paint. You can do the same with the green with darker situations. And this one has this nice weather stripping that we're able to tuck the cord along, right along this weather stripping, up and over to the top and out. And then we can go to the nearest male-female connection of our garland and simply plug in and draw power from there. That way, at night, when the timers click on or however you've wired up this home to turn on, when everything turns on, the wreath on the door, the garland, it all turns on in one shot. And then when you get to that point and it's all tucked away safely, you can just simply close the door and your wreath stays intact. There's enough slack for it to open and close. And there you have it. This has been another Seasonal Source Pro Tip. I wanted to cover this time hanging and installation of wreaths. That's a key factor with our crews. We always talk about making sure the wreaths and the garland are hurricane proof. On this wreath, we use anchor points at the 1 o'clock and the 11 o'clock positions, as well as down the 6 o'clock positions. We found that the 3 anchor positions will allow wind to not shift those wreaths around, and it avoids scratching up homes, but more importantly, those wreaths being blown off completely. Up at the top, we already had a female installed along with the C7 rooftop wiring. So we were able to make our connection and draw power to this wreath. We use baling wire to anchor into bolts or hooks that were already set into the mortar with a good set of anchors. The other thing that we learned to do with the larger wreaths is to set the ladder up above the wreath, up and to the top of the rooftop, and be able to install that wreath underneath the ladder. If you didn't do that, your ladders would be in the way. The wreath would be laying on top of your ladders. You get it all anchored on, and then you try to figure out how to get your ladders out from underneath that wreath, posing kind of a difficult situation. Another point to remember with wreath installation is the proper spacing of your lit wreath against the lit roof line. You don't want to cram one lighted object up against another lighted object. It's good to maintain a proper spacing between the two and a proper distinction to give it a real professional look. This has been another Seasonal Source Pro Tip.
All right. So I realized you didn't hear me after that other video, but just mentioning that I didn't have much to add anyway. Those videos are pretty self-explanatory when using greenery, either large wreaths up on the house or a nice lit one on the front door. But
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind when you are doing the large wreaths or garland and hanging them up high like that is to get them fluffed up and prepped ahead of time on the ground. It's a lot easier than trying to reach on the ladder and reach in there and fluff the greenery back up. You'll probably have to fix a few little spots that got kind of smashed in as you lifted up the greenery, but make sure you're just spending that time down on the ground where it's much faster, much easier to get that greenery looking where you want it, the lighting, everything. Test your lighting first, of course, make sure the wreath does light up before you haul it up there. Just all those little things you want to check before hauling it up there. And if it is too large, make sure you're using an additional person on a separate ladder and between the two of you getting it up there to do that. You don't want to be off balance going up really high and pulling somebody off the ladder. So safety is important, especially on those bigger, heavier wreaths and such. So
okay. Yep. This next one, we're gonna just do some quick tutorials on using these male and female plugs. They're like your lifeline when doing permanent installs and custom installs. They're super important. So we just want to make sure everyone's aware how to use them properly and that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a little bit so you can see us. And John's going to just kind of give us a quick little tutorial of how to do that.
okay, of course, probably one of the most important things when you're doing roof line lighting is knowing how to make proper connections with the male and female plugins. So right here, as you can see, we have the slide on plug. This is the female plug, and then got a male one that's already installed here. But the nice thing about this is that it's very simple, easy to do. Just with these few simple steps and a few things that if you are aware of, you'll be able to do it properly every time. But on the wire, put up here the camera, you can't really see it, but there's two wires, of course. One is going to be ribbed, which have kind of just a rough edge on it. The other one's going to be smooth. So the side with the rough edge is like your neutral side, and then the smooth edge is your positive, your main power source there. So with that on the wire, just identifying those two, one of the most important things, of course, is to keep it consistent as you're doing that through your installation. But the first thing you want to do is get your wire and you cut it to the length that you need, and then simply split the wire ends. Now you can do it just with your fingers and do it like this. It's very easy to do. If the weather's cold, it might be a little harder. You might need pliers or a knife or something to kind of split that. But if the weather's not too cold, you can split it quite easily doing that. The other thing is then on your plug is to identify which one is the neutral and which is positive. So you're going to find the one that's wider, like this one. And then as you look at it, you kind of flip it over. So the wider one's on this end, and you see where the prong is, and it's going to be on this side. So when you lay in your wire, the rib side needs to hit the prong that's on this side closer to me. So you want to make sure it's in that way. The other thing is on these plugs is when you split it, there's a divider down inside the plug that helps separate it, so there's no arcing of power in case any moisture or water or something gets in there, or you have some loose strands from cutting it. And so first of all, you just push it down inside the tail end there, make sure it splits that. The rib side is on the side of the wide neutral prong, and then you just lay it over, and just using your thumbs, just kind of push straight down to get a good piercing on it. Once you have that in place, you can see how it looks there. And then the next thing is you want to slide this cover on. So there's two sides. One is wide open. The other has like a little tail on it. So the tail does not go on first. If you do that, you're going to have a really hard time getting it on. So the open side first, and just get it on there, and you can push it on until it snaps in place, and you have it just like that. So it's the same process for the male one as well, but now you have a really good solid connection. The other thing with the female ones is it has a little knockout here. So if you want to do it in line, say you're doing some greenery or something off there, just take some needle nose pliers and you just grab that little square piece right on the end there and just snap it right out. And you'll be able to run that wire all the way through instead of doing it like the end as this is. But just knowing how to do that and making that proper connection, quite often if there's something not lighting up, it's most likely a connection. And so if you do it through this process and do it simply and properly, you won't have any issues with connections, and your lights will be working for your customers all season long. So, but that's the simple thing, is just keep the polarity correct throughout the whole install and you'll be good to go.
Sweet. Okay. We're just gonna go ahead and skip this video. Didn't have much to add. It's basically saying, pay attention to when you add these on, that you don't put like a male to male connection, always female at the end of your runs and male to start them. If you do male to male, there's a chance it falls out, and then you'll have a live plug dangling around that can only cause problems and shorts and whatnot. So
This is another seasonal source pro tip. Over the years, I've learned many tricks of the trade, and this one is one that took me almost 10 years to figure out. When you're up on the roof line, sometimes you're jumping from one roof line to the next. You may only have a jump of 2 or 3 feet, sometimes up to 4 or 5 feet, but your choices are to make cuts, use lamp wire, 2 sets of males and females in that particular location to make that jump. Or what I've figured out recently is I can actually just snap these sockets off of the line if it's a short run. What I like to do is place the pliers down on the side of the socket. You can see the orientation of the clip and kind of where I'm grabbing. Give it a nice firm grip. And the backing and the socket separate, leaving the wire nice and clean. You're able to continue that down your line, remove as many sockets as you need with a couple of sockets there, and save yourself the time and effort of using the males and females and adding lamp wire. This has been another.
all right, so that's one tip to maybe speed some things up instead of having to do a little 3-foot jump on all these male and female connections. It's important to remember you can just break sockets off and do it that way.
It's a lot easier if you use channel locks to break them off, because they're bigger and just have more prying power, I guess you could say. So, and then make sure you tape up those connections, those little holes that were left on the wire on the jumps. Use electrical tape and tape over those to make sure that's clean, prevent moisture or water from getting in there.
Yep.
Would you recommend only like 3 to 4 of those? Like anything more than that, would you put a lamp cord in?
Yes. Yep. So yeah, if you're going like 5 feet or more, I would say a lamp cord that's already built for that is a lot better than just breaking off tons of sockets. So yeah, if you're only doing a few, it's okay to do it that way. But if you're going longer, it is better to use just a ready-made extension cord or make your own short jump. Now, if you're only doing 5 to 10 foot jump with the blank wire that you're making one, that's fine. But if you're going longer than that, it's recommended to use, a commercially factory made lamp cord, extension cord or something there for longer jumps. Good question.
Yep. I know we're getting short on time, so I'm gonna have to skip some videos, but we have all of these on our YouTube channel, Seasonal Source YouTube channel. So if you want to go into kind of tree wrapping and some of those, check out our YouTube channel. You can watch them after whenever you'd like to. I'll kind of jump. There's branch wrapping, swag wrapping, stake lights can really add a cool dimension to your install. Look really awesome. We'll watch this takedown one, talk about the next slide, and then we gotta wrap up. So.
Another seasonal source pro tip. We found that at the end of the year, when you want to be able to remove your lights quickly and efficiently, you've got to save money at this stage of the game. We use this extension pole quite exclusively for our takedowns. Depending on how you've installed your lights, in our area, we are able to use under the eave technique for our installs. This extension pole and tool allows us to slip on both sides of the socket and just slip it out. And you can see how fast you could go around a house doing that. You may have in certain areas where you've had your lights installed with the all-in-one clip on the gutters. This tool serves for that purpose as well, just simply popping those up and off as you go. This has been another seasonal source pro tip.
All right. So that's one on takedown using a pole instead of going around with your ladder and pulling them off one by one. Have an extension pole to pop them off is a lot quicker. And another tip that we like to tack on with that is using something like our new circle clip that you screw the bulb and it sits in between the bulb and the socket, and you screw them on there. And then it's got a 360 kind of around the bulb and it just will not come off. It's permanently attached. So you can really just rip those lights down really quickly, and it really speeds up takedown if you use a clip that can't come off. Our shingle tabs are like that as well. So that's one tip that really can speed up a takedown, is using an extension pole and using clips that won't come off, because with all-in-ones, if you pop them off with an extension pole, sometimes you'll leave a clip up on the gutter and homeowners aren't going to appreciate that. So that's one helpful thing to do. I know we're running out of time. Are there any questions, or is there anything else you guys would like to hear about? Like I said, hopefully some of these tips were important for you, and feel free to check out our YouTube channel and watch more. But thanks for all.
No, recording in
Nice job on the breakout, Matthew. That was great.
Did you learn anything, Jeff? I know you're.
I actually took notes. There